All right, so let's dive into some Oscar nomination news that's got layers.
Yeah,
This is interesting.
definitely.
Isabella Rossellini.
Mhm.
She finally got her first nomination for Conclave.
Wow.
But get this,
Okay.
it took almost 40 years
Yeah.
after her breakout role.
Wow. That's not your typical Hollywood trajectory, that's for sure.
I know.
Makes you wonder if those ideas about what makes a successful career in Hollywood are due for an update.
Totally,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
you know how sometimes you hear about like somebody famous's kid getting into like show business or whatever?
Right.
And you think, oh, Nepo baby,
Uh-huh.
Isabella Rossellini
Yeah.
is literally Hollywood royalty.
Hmm.
Daughter of Ingrid Bergman
Oh, yeah.
and Roberto Rossellini,
Wow.
both Oscar nominees themselves.
And her mother, Ingrid Bergman,
Right.
a 3-time Best Actress winner.
Exactly.
So you'd think with that background, the Oscars would have come sooner for Isabella, right?
I know, right?
Mm.
But here's the thing. She's nominated for Best Supporting Actress
Okay.
for playing a nun
Interesting.
in a Vatican-set thriller.
Okay.
Not really the kind of role that screams Oscar bait, you know?
No, it's definitely intriguing.
Right.
This is a woman who built a career on pushing boundaries,
Right.
choosing roles that were unconventional, even controversial sometimes.
And let's not forget,
Yeah.
she was already a huge name in like the modeling world
Oh, yeah, for sure.
before she even really like dove into acting.
That's a good point.
Right.
The modeling, the activism, the family legacy,
Uh-huh.
it all feeds into this complex picture of an artist who defies categorization.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
There's so much more to unpack here than just a delayed Oscar nomination.
Totally.
It's like this is a story about challenging expectations.
Right.
Forging your own path and maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
finding recognition on your own terms.
And to really understand the significance of this moment, I think we need to rewind a bit. Back to the film that really put Isabella Rossellini on the map.
Okay.
Blue Velvet.
Ah, yes. 1986, the year of shoulder pads so big they could double as a satellite dish.
Uh-huh.
But seriously, Blue Velvet was like a game changer.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
it was dark, it was surreal,
Yeah.
definitely not your average Hollywood movie.
Exactly. And her performance as Dorothy Valens was captivating.
Oh, totally.
But here's the question.
Okay.
Why didn't that performance snag her an Oscar nod?
I know, right?
Hmm.
Was Hollywood just not ready for a film like that?
Maybe.
Or maybe for an actress willing to take on such a bold and unconventional role.
Blue Velvet was definitely divisive.
Yeah.
Some critics loved it, called it a masterpiece. Others found it disturbing and exploitative.
Interesting.
It challenged the very idea of what a Hollywood film could be.
Yeah, so maybe the Academy just wasn't ready to embrace something so provocative,
Possibly.
you know?
Yeah.
It makes you think about how much Hollywood and its awards have evolved over the years.
It really does.
Right.
It raises the question of how we even define success in Hollywood.
Hmm.
Is it about awards and accolades? Or is it about taking risks, pushing boundaries, creating art that truly resonates,
Yep.
even if it takes decades for the recognition to catch up?
Totally. And speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
let's talk about those other contenders for Best Supporting Actress.
Okay.
This is a fierce lineup.
It is.
Ariana Grande for Wicked,
Wow.
Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown,
Okay.
Felicity Jones for The Brutalist,
Uh-huh.
and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez.
Each of these actresses brings something unique to the table.
They do.
It's really a testament to the diversity of talent and storytelling in cinema today.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So how does Rossellini's nomination fit into this landscape? Is it a sign that the Academy is finally embracing like a wider range of performances?
Maybe.
Or is it simply a recognition of a career that has defied categorization and expectation for decades?
To answer that, we need to delve deeper into the fascinating tapestry of Isabella Rossellini's career.
Okay, are you ready to explore?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Let's go back to the 80s.
Okay.
But beyond like the big hair and synth pop,
Right.
I'm talking about the impact of independent cinema,
Yeah.
Films like Blue Velvet that weren't afraid to push the envelope.
Blue Velvet wasn't just a movie, it was like a cultural moment.
It really was.
Yeah, and Rossellini was right at the heart of it.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting, we were
Yeah.
just talking about her family legacy.
Right.
Did that help or hinder her in a film like that?
That's the paradox, isn't it?
Yeah,
On the one hand, she had this incredible lineage, right?
right.
Doors open for her because of her parents.
Sure.
But on the other hand, she was constantly being compared to them.
Right.
Especially Ingrid Bergman,
Of course.
who was this icon,
So how did she break free from that?
by making bold choices. Blue Velvet was a far cry from the elegant classic films that her mother was known for.
Yeah.
It was raw. It was unsettling.
Right.
And Rossellini dove in headfirst.
And wasn't that around the same time her modeling career took off?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She became the face of Lancôme,
Wow.
one of the highest paid models in the world.
Okay, but
Yeah.
here's what's fascinating.
What's that?
She wasn't just a beautiful face on magazine covers.
No?
She brought an intelligence and like a defiance to her modeling work.
You're right.
You know what I think is funny?
What?
I think some people might dismiss modeling as like superficial,
Yeah.
but for Rossellini, it was like another way of expressing herself,
Right.
of controlling her image,
Uh-huh.
and maybe even subverting expectations.
I think you're right, and it's important to remember this was the 80s.
Oh yeah.
A time when women in Hollywood were often like pigeonholed into very specific roles.
Right.
But Rossellini was carving out her own space,
Yeah.
both in front of the camera and behind it.
Well, she was directing back then too.
Not feature films.
Okay.
But she was starting to experiment with short films, documentaries,
Okay.
often focusing on animal behavior in the natural world.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Are we seeing a connection here?
Maybe.
Her Oscar-nominated role in Conclave is about power dynamics within the Vatican.
Yeah.
And she's been making films about power structures in nature for years.
I think you've hit on something important.
Okay.
Rossellini is drawn to stories that explore those hidden hierarchies, the subtle ways in which power operates.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a theme that runs through her entire career, from her early film choices to her activism.
Wow, so she's not just an actress.
Right.
She's an artist with a vision,
Absolutely.
with recurring themes she keeps revisiting and exploring in different ways.
And that brings us back to this Oscar nomination.
Okay.
Maybe it's not just about recognizing her talent,
Right.
but recognizing a lifetime of pushing boundaries, of using her platform to tell stories that matter.
And doing it all with this incredible, like, grace and humor.
She really does.
You know, I was reading an interview where she talked about how she never felt like she fit in Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
She was too European, too intellectual, too.
Yeah.
Well, herself.
And that's what makes her so fascinating.
Right.
She never tried to be what Hollywood expected her to be.
Yeah.
She stayed true to herself.
Exactly.
And that authenticity shines through in everything she does.
You know, it's funny. We started this conversation talking about how long it took her to get this Oscar nomination.
Right.
But now I'm thinking maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is that she never stopped working,
Yeah.
never stopped evolving as an artist.
Uh-huh.
And now at this point in her career,
Right.
the recognition is simply catching up to the woman she's always been.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most rewarding journeys are the ones that take us down unexpected paths.
Totally. Okay, but let's be real.
Yeah.
A part of me is still a little curious about the other nominees.
Of course.
I mean, Ariana Grande going from pop star to Oscar contender.
Wow.
That's a whole other deep dive waiting to happen.
It is, and it speaks to the ever-changing landscape of Hollywood.
Right.
But for now,
Yeah.
let's focus on the woman of the hour,
Okay.
Isabella Rossellini.
All right.
What can we learn from her journey?
Right.
How does her story challenge our assumptions about what it means to be successful in this industry?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And to answer it, I think we need to go beyond the glitz and glamour,
Right.
beyond the red carpets and awards,
Oh.
and look at the substance,
Yes.
the artistry,
Exactly.
the sheer tenacity of a woman who dared to be different.
Ready to delve into that.
Absolutely lead the way. You know, it's amazing we started talking about like this Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
And we ended up like exploring this whole career
I know.
that spans decades and industries
Yeah.
and continents even.
It really highlights how these awards, while significant, are just like one snapshot,
Right.
in a much larger story.
It's so easy to get caught up in like the buzz and the predictions
Yeah.
and like the red carpet fashion.
Totally.
But what really resonates is the impact of the work.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think Isabella Rossellini's legacy shines through.
I agree.
She's not just an actress or a model.
Right.
She's like a force of nature.
She really is.
She's challenged conventions, she's embraced her passions,
Mhm.
and never let go of that independent spirit.
And maybe, just maybe, this Oscar nomination is a sign that the industry is finally recognizing that.
I hope so,
Yeah.
because her story is like a powerful reminder that success doesn't always follow a predictable path.
It can be messy, unconventional,
Right.
full of detours and unexpected turns.
For sure, and sometimes it takes a while for the world to catch up.
It really does.
But when it does, it's all the more rewarding.
Absolutely, and that's a lesson for anyone pursuing a creative dream. Stay true to your vision.
Yeah.
Keep pushing boundaries. Don't be afraid to be different.
Because you never know, that unique path you're forging might just lead you to unexpected heights.
And perhaps even a golden statue along the way.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Isabella Rossellini's journey, what's the one takeaway you hope our listener is left with?
I think it's this. True success isn't defined by accolades or timelines, but by the courage to embrace your own path,
Yeah,
even when it veers sharply from the norm.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Isabella Rossellini's story is proof that sometimes the most fulfilling journey is the one that you create for yourself.
And that those journeys, no matter how unconventional, can inspire us all to redefine what success truly means.
Beautifully put. And with that, we wrap up another deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep celebrating those who dare to be different.